Hi guys, so welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another video. If you don't know who I am, I'm Shannon and I try to make videos whenever I can. I don't have a schedule at the moment for uploading. I used to try and upload Tuesdays, Thursdays and Saturdays, and I do want to get more into a schedule of uploading, but I just haven't recently, so bear with me on uploads. But anyway, so as you guys can tell by the title, I'm going to be doing, this is going to be another one of those like chilled, sit down, chat to you guys kind of videos. And it is going to be a story time. To be fair, I haven't done many story time videos on my channel because nothing ever really exciting happens and nothing regularly happens for me to tell stories about, if you see what I mean. So I'll only ever do like story times about things that are like worth mentioning, or if something actually happens that I want to tell you guys about and that sort of thing. So today is going to be a story time about some like paranormal experiences I've had. I know there's people out there that don't believe in like spirituality, there's some people that don't believe in ghosts, there's some people that don't believe in like paranormal stuff. Yeah, and all that sort of stuff. I know some people are against paranormal stuff, spiritual stuff and all that, and like ghosts and stuff, and some people are really against it, but then some people are like really into it, and so there's some people that are kind of into it but kind of not. Just wanted to say before we get into it, I'm not religious, but I'm also not atheist. I'm also not against anything. Like if someone wants to be religious, they can be religious, do what you want. Like it's not my life, it's up to you, and if you're happy that's fine, and it doesn't bother me, so that's cool. But also, like, I'm not a massive believer. Like in a way I'm kind of spiritual. Like I don't necessarily believe in God, but then again I don't not believe in God, if that makes sense. Like there might be a God, there might not, I don't know. And yeah, so I don't know really what to say, to be fair. I don't really know how to get the ball rolling on this video. So my mum, just sort of like side story, backstory, whatever you want to call it. My mum was brought up Christian when she was younger. She stopped being Christian when she sort of like grew up and like moved out and stuff. But my mum has always been very spiritual, like very spiritual. And she has always been quite psychic as well. And I think I've got a little bit of that from her. Like I'm not very psychic, I'm not very spiritual, but a little bit, yes. This is just our personal opinions and our personal preferences and our life and our stories, and I just want to share that with you guys. And I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, you guys should believe in this or you shouldn't believe in that, or this is true, this isn't. I'm never going to be like that in any of my videos. If any of you guys want to be religious, then be religious. If you don't want to be religious, then don't be religious. If you guys want to believe in something, then believe in it. But if you don't want to believe in something, then don't. It's as simple as that, really. If you guys like storytime videos, or people sharing their experiences, then make sure to give this video a big thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button to join my little YouTube family and turn on post notifications so you guys can get notified every time I upload a new video. And yeah, so I'm going to start from the beginning because I've had a couple sort of paranormally kind of experiences in my life, or like psychic moments and that sort of thing. If you guys don't believe me, whatever, that's up to you. And if you want to judge me or hate on me, go ahead. I can deal with it, I'm a grown ass bitch, kind of. But yeah, I just wanted to share this with you guys. I kind of feel awkward doing this video. I don't know why, but I just do. I have written down on a bit of paper what sort of things happened and in order of what they happened, just because like with storytime videos and like remembering things, sometimes I go off track, or like sometimes I go blank, or like it's hard for me to remember things. So that's why I make notes, just so I can remember to like mention as much as possible, and so I don't like forget things. So I've literally just written down on my notepad what happened and like the order it happened in, and roughly how old I was and where it happened, just so then I can remember more details and sort of say it in order, and just sort of give you guys as much info as possible about what happened in my experience. I do apologise, I do still have hair dye on my face from like 2 days ago when I dyed my hair. But yeah, so just ignore my hair dye, just ignore any background mess, and my hair's a bit of a mess, but just ignore that. So yeah, so let's get on with the video. So my first sort of paranormally experience was when I was about 8 or 9 years old. Roughly, I can't remember exactly, but I was about 8 or 9, and this is when we were living in our old house before we moved into this house. And this house that we were living in, we moved into at the end of 2007. We moved out in 2015 and came here in 2015. But this house that we were living in at the time when these things happened, we moved in there at end of 2007, and it was quite an old house. It was built in 1911, and my mum had a few sort of psychic moments there and like sort of spiritual moments there, and she like sort of picked up on things while we lived there. And there was these, my mum called them like the others, like the ones that would like, that she would sort of sense things from. So my first sort of experience, I was like 8 or 9 years old, and I remember me and my mum were sat in our spare room, and our spare room looked onto the garden, and it was a very bright and like well lit room, and it was quite a pretty room as well, and it was quite peaceful in there. And I remember me and my mum were sat on the edge of the bed facing the wall, and there was like a mirror on the wall and like a set of drawers, dressing table like next to the mirror against the wall, and the bed faced the window, and then mum was sat on the side of the bed. Like the door was here, the mirror was there, and the drawers were there, and then there was like the window, if that makes any sense. And me and my mum were just sitting there chatting. Kids are always more like in tune with like the other side or spirits or whatever you want to call it, and kids often like pick up on things. Maybe not all kids, and maybe not often, but like kids, some kids can often pick up on things, or like, you know, be in tune with like the other side or whatever you want to call it. So I remember we were sitting there, and I remember I had my long hair, and I was quite a sweet and innocent child, like very sweet and innocent, and I was very shy. Sorry, big ass. I thought it was gonna be sick in my mouth. Yeah, I was a very sweet, innocent, shy child. And me and mum were just sitting there having a casual conversation, and I was just sitting there like a sweet little innocent kid. And I remember I had my head down, and I remember I turned to the window, and I saw this guy in the garden, and because I remember I literally just looked like that, and then was like, and I thought to myself, hold on a minute, did I just see someone in the garden? So I looked back, and no one was there. It was really weird. It was a very short paranormal experience, or whatever you want to call it, or vision. But I remember me and my mum were just sat there. My mum didn't see it because she didn't look. But I remember we just sat there, and I was just looking down, and I looked like that. And then when in that split second I looked out the window, I remember seeing a man stood in the garden. But when I looked back, literally like a second later, he wasn't there. And it was literally just me and my mum in the house. No one else lived with us. No one else was there. We hadn't invited anyone over. There was no access into our garden from the back. The only way you could get to our garden is if you went through the front door and then carried on straight through the back door, or went actually like into our house and through our normal back door. So it was like no one could have got in unless they actually like went through the house. And yeah, it was a bit of a mad experience. I was like, because I had never actually like seen anything paranormal as a kid, but so that was like my first sort of paranormal experience, because when I was even younger, I used to chat, like before we lived in this house, in the house I was talking about, where we used to live when I was about 5, I used to chat to my dead uncle, and like, yeah, I used to like basically chat to my dead uncle. I don't know how to explain that. I literally used to have like full-on conversations with him, and I used to literally just sit in my room chatting to him, and yeah, it was madness. But yeah, so if you guys want to class that as paranormal, then I guess me chatting to my dead uncle, like having conversations with him in my room, I guess that was my first paranormal experience, and then seeing that spirit in the garden was my second. But yeah, so that was kind of how things started off when I was a kid with like paranormal stuff. And I remember what this guy was wearing as well, the guy in the garden. He had like his t-shirt on, and it had like sleeves to there, a normal t-shirt on, with denim dungarees, and he had like short hair, sort of brown, sort of going grey, and he was maybe like in his 40s, 50s, and back in like the olden days, because our house was Victorian and it was built in 1911, there did used to be a gardener that used to go there or like live there or something. I can't remember what he was called exactly, but yeah, that was the guy that I saw in that split second. And spirits also did go around our house, so that was sort of like my first proper paranormal experience, apart from me chatting to my dead uncle when I was a kid. Even though my uncle died before I was born and I never met him, I used to like to have full-on conversations with him, so that was a bit mad. But my uncle was my mum's brother, and then yeah, I don't have a very big family, so yes, that was sort of like my sort of paranormal experiences as a kid, and like my first ones. So my next sort of paranormal experience was when I was about 11 or 12 years old, and me and my friend were sat in my room, and I remember it was my friend Izzy. So Izzy, if you're watching this, hi. And I kind of hope Izzy remembers this, so then she can back me up. But yeah, if you're watching this and you don't remember, that's fine. But sorry, I need to adjust my legs. But yeah, I remember I was about 11 or 12 years old. Me and Izzy were sat in my room, and both our mums and Izzy's little sister were downstairs in the kitchen. And so it was like a fair distance from my bedroom to the kitchen. So it's like Izzy's little sister Talis couldn't have done it, because we would have heard her like running up and down the stairs and like down the hallway if she like came up, did it, and then went back down. So basically me and Izzy were sat in my room on my bed. My bed was quite close to the window at this point, so like my bedroom window was here and like my door was sort of like over there. And we were just, I can't even remember what we were doing, to be fair. We were just chilling, hanging out, and all of a sudden the door handle rattled. It was one of them like circular gold metal door handles, and it was a little bit loose, but it wasn't loose enough for the wind to blow it. And also we didn't have any windows open at the time, so it's not like the wind could have blown it anyway. So me and Izzy, when we were just sat there chilling, and the door handle rattled, and it made a noise as well. It didn't just move, it like made the sort of loose handle rattling noise, if that makes any sense. And me and Izzy were both like, what? So we were like, Talis? Like wondering if Izzy's little sister Talis was outside, like messing with us. And then we went up and opened my door, looked outside my bedroom, and like looked down the stairs, and Izzy's little sister wasn't there. Plus, like I said, if it had been her, we would have heard her going up and down the stairs and like along the hallway outside our bedrooms. Plus the stairs were quite close to the bedrooms, so we would have known if it was like Izzy's little sister Talis. So that was like really weird. And it's like, our mums wouldn't have done it, plus we would have heard or noticed them as well if it was one of them, but it wasn't, so that was a bit mad. My next sort of paranormal experience was again when I was about 11 or 12 years old, and Izzy and Talis were in my room on this day. They were with me again because Izzy, Talis and their mum used to come around quite a lot. We're still friends with all of them now, and but yeah, they used to come around quite a lot when we were younger. And I remember me, Izzy and Talis were sat in my room on my bed, and again my bed was quite close to my window, and our mums were downstairs in the kitchen, and they're also just chatting, having adult conversation. And Izzy and Talis weren't looking the direction I was looking when I saw this, but I remember I looked towards my window, not towards my window, towards my bedroom door, which from my bed, it was sort of like diagonally kind of thing, from where my bed was positioned at the time. I remember I just turned, looked at my door, and I was staring at it for a few seconds, just, you know, whatever, while Talis and Izzy were doing whatever they were doing. And I just saw a shadow go by the door, as if someone walked from my mum's room there to the spare room there, like as if they'd just gone straight across. And I was like, what? I was so confused. I don't think I said anything to Izzy or Talis. But yeah, I literally just saw a shadow go across, and this is all during the day. All these stories that I'm telling you guys are during the day. And like I said, our parents were downstairs. Me, Izzy and Talis were all in my room on my bed. And I just saw a shadow go across, like as if someone walked across. And I thought, oh, maybe it's my mum going from her room to the spare room. But it wasn't. Both our mums were literally downstairs. So that was really weird. All the stories I've told you guys so far have all been kind of unexplainable. Sorry, a bit gassy. The next story time experience I'm going to share with you guys was in this house, and this house, it was built a while ago. I'm not sure exactly when, I can't remember, and it was sort of built not brilliantly in some areas. It's been built well, but there's some parts of it that weren't built as good, kind of thing. So sometimes the floors creak and stuff like that, and in our main bathroom, the floor, rather than being dead flat, it's ever so slightly on a tilt, if that makes any sense. So I remember this one day back in 2017 during the summer, I was sat on the loo. I don't know what my voice was going then. I was sat on the loo in the utility, sort of off our kitchen. Sorry, my dog's on my bed and she was moving around. I was wondering what she's doing. But yeah, I sat on the loo in our utility, which is off our kitchen, and it's near the back door. And I was home alone, and my mum had gone out. I can't remember exactly if this was before or after I got my dog, but it was sometime either a bit before or a bit after I got my dog. And if I did have my dog at this point, it wasn't her. I remember just sitting on the loo, and I was just sat on my phone. I remember I had my old phone at the time. I think it was my Hawaii P8 Lite that I had. And I was just sat on my phone on the toilet, as you do, whatever. And then I heard footsteps, and sometimes the heat can affect your floors and make them creak and stuff. But it wasn't the heat, because yeah, it was a summer's day, but it wasn't hot enough to make our floors creak. And we didn't obviously didn't have the heating on, and it was actually just me at home, no one else was home. And I remember while I was sitting there on the loo on my phone, it was all quiet, it was all chill, whatever. I heard the floors creak right outside the bathroom, legit footsteps, and I was actually concerned for a second that someone had just walked into my house. But I would have heard them if they had walked in, but you don't know, they could have snuck in. But I was sat on the toilet, and I legit heard footsteps right outside the bathroom, they'd just got into the utility area, and I was like, what? it definitely wasn't my dog, because it was either before we got my dog or she was on her bed. I can't remember which way around it was now. And yeah, I was actually kind of freaked out for a second, like, who's in my house? I'm the only one home. And it's just me and my mum that live together. So I like cleaned myself up and got off the toilet, and I was like, hello, is anyone there? Like, what? And I looked out of the bathroom into the utility area, and no one was there. It was really weird. I was like kind of concerned for a second, because I've never really had like paranormal or like scary sort of ghost experiences or anything like that. I've only had the ones that I'm telling you guys. So that was a bit mad. But yeah. So that was all the sort of like paranormal things that I had, or the paranormal experiences that I had, whatever you want to call it. The next thing I'm going to tell you guys is more of like a psychic kind of dream. Like I said, my mum's always been quite psychic, so I think I get a little bit of it from her. And I'm not like religious or godly or very spiritual or whatever. I'm not like very in tune with stuff, but I am a little bit in tune with stuff. And I am sort of a little bit spiritual, not a massive amount, but a tiny bit. So there was this one night where I had this dream, and it was very kind of like deja vu of like how things would have been if a certain person was around. And yeah, so basically it's one night I went to bed as normal. This was sometime last year, I can't remember when exactly. It was like late 2018, and went to bed as normal. I hadn't been thinking about anyone. I hadn't been thinking about anything sad. I hadn't got myself stressed out or worried about anything. And while I was going to sleep this one night, I had this dream about my dad. And for anyone that knows me personally, or for anyone that watched my 25 facts about me video the other day, sorry, but guys, you guys will know that my dad passed away when I was young. He passed away the day before my 10th birthday. I've basically grown up without a dad most of my life, because from the age of 4 I didn't really see him, and yeah, it was just like a bit of a tits up situation with my dad. So my dad passed away day before my 10th birthday, so I hate Father's Day, I hate the name Dad, I hate certain dates because of his like birthday and like his death date. So this one night I went to bed as normal. I remember I started having this kind of like odd dream. I remember being at this like fun fair with some friends, and I think one of my friends in my dream was actually my friend Izzy, who I've been friends with since primary school. Hi Izzy, if you're watching. Yeah, so she was in the dream, and there were like a bunch of other people. And then I remember all of a sudden that I was like sleeping in this wardrobe in this like police investigation room. You know, on like these sort of detective crime series you watch on like TV on Netflix, and they have like the investigation rooms or like question rooms where they take the suspect and like interview them, like interview rooms. I was in one of them rooms, and there was like a wardrobe in the corner, and I'd been like sleeping there for some mad reason. So I remember I was there, and then next thing I know, I was in this courtroom, and I remember seeing my dad up on like the stand thing, because you know where like the judge sits, and then there's like the bit where like the suspect or the person they want to talk sits. I know exactly what you call it, like a little pew thing. I remember seeing my dad sat in that section next to the judge's section, and he had his curly like ginger hair, and he was, I think he was in, I'm pretty sure he was in blue overalls, like the blue sort of prison outfits you get in America, like, you know, the orange outfits you get for prisoners in America. It was like that, but blue, like the t-shirt and the trousers, and he had handcuffs on, and he was just sat there. And I remember I was stood up, like everyone was sat down apart from a couple people in the front section, but everyone behind like the sort of wooden gate area were sat down, so I was the only one stood up apart from like the lawyers and like whatever, and like defendant or whatever. And I remember looking straight at my dad, and my dad was looking straight back at me, and he had his curly ginger hair, and it was sort of like half tied back, and we literally just stared blankly at each other. And I remember I felt so gutted inside and like so disappointed, but also kind of annoyed, and I was like, oh my god, I was just shocked. And next thing I know, I was like back in the interview room where I was sort of been sleeping for whatever mad reason. I remember I was sat at the table just sort of looking down, and there was a police officer like the other side of the table stood up near the wall, and a police officer opened the door, and my dad walked in with like long sort of gingery curly frizzy hair, half tied back, and he had the blue overall top and trousers on. He had handcuffs on again, and he walked in. He looked like he was gutted and disappointed with himself, and like, yeah, like he was just annoyed at himself and felt sorry for me. And he was looking down as he came in, and when he sat down, we looked at each other, and he was just like, I'm sorry, I love you. And I remember I said I love you back, and he just got up and walked out. And that is like the most realist dream I've ever had in my life, which is kind of mad. But yeah, so that is it for this video, guys. That's all my sort of like paranormal psychic stuff that's happened to me so far. I've had a deja vu moment once before, where I kind of just said something as a joke and then it all happened. But yeah, if you guys ever want me to do any more like paranormally kind of ghost kind of videos in the future, then just let me know, and I'll try and do my best at doing it. Sorry guys, my mum just came in. But yeah, that is it for this video, guys. Make sure to give it a big thumbs up. Let me know any video ideas in the comments. Hit that subscribe button so you guys can join my little YouTube family. Turn on post notifications so you guys get notified every time I upload a new video, hopefully at least with YouTube. And yeah, share the love in the comments, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.